will run for their lives. To the end, they will pay for their lives. So long did we wait. Now we are home. Here, once again, there's a battle to fight. Gathered together for the sound and the might. So long did we wait. Now we are home. Now we will fight for the kingdom, fighting with steel. Kill all of them, their blood is our seal. Fight till the last of the enemy is dead. Ride through their blood that we gladly have shed. I now issue the call. Are you ready to fight? Fight all together as one for the right to be free once again. Tonight we will win. I can see by the look that you have in your eyes. You came here for metal, to fight and to die. Defenders of steel, now we are home. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel. Their kingdom, fighting with steel. Kill all of them, their blood is our seal. Fight till the last of the enemy is dead. Ride through their blood that we gladly have shed. I now issue the call. Are you ready to fight? Fight all together as one for the right to be free once again. Tonight we will win. I can see by the look that you have in your eyes. You came here for metal, to fight and to die. Defenders of steel, now we are home. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Satan's that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the free, and the home of the we are the US of A. For those who know.
Why, hello, everybody.
Okay, I got my mic turned on. Can you hear me? I got my mic turned on out there, so can you all hear me? Scotty, you want to maybe turn that monitor down so we don't get any feedback and we get a little rambunctious. I'm sorry about that. I hit the wrong button and cut that off. I didn't want to start it all over again. So next week, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. Why, we'll be here and we will try it again, and I'll be more vigilant and quit fiddle farting around. If anybody was paying attention, you will see that we were on the air the other day straightening out some equipment, and so we're back. Now, Canvas asked if Mr. T was still having a bear problem because Mr. T is not here. No, he's not having bear problem, but he is having problem with his brother-in-law and sister-in-law. I can't go into all the details. I don't know more, but ever since am I still, are we moving or we got a frozen picture here?
Let me pull it up.
And, cause my picture is frozen on the thing here. So I don't know what we're doing here.
I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know
Are we moving? Moving it, but we're not moving here. What's that screaming?
That's because my phone was on.
Oh.
Remember that one time, like
Yeah,
2 months
I
ago?
remember now. Well, I can't figure out why our hickey here is not moving. So anyway, well, thank you for playing with it. As I was saying, Mr. T has a brother-in-law problem ever since his mother-in-law died. He and his brother-in-law and sister-in-law have been giving him fits, and they've even made threats of bodily harm. So he doesn't want to leave his wife down there.
That's not what I heard.
And, yeah, well, you can tell everybody what you heard.
Well, I was talking with Mr. T today on the phone, and he said there's some sort of discrepancy about the Amish midget porn that he's been producing.
No. The Amish preacher.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and then last Sunday night we weren't on the air. Mainly because I was too freaking tired. I went out Saturday morning to go deer hunting, and I was lucky, and I nailed a nice buck. It was only a 5-point. One of the points was busted off, but it had a 14 or 15-inch spread, and the antlers were 14 to 15 inches long, and I guess they call them the spikes that come off the side or off the top of them, they were 6 to 8 inches long. Humongous 5-point. And
how old do you reckon it was?
3, maybe 4 years old. If I hadn't have got it, if it had been around next year, it probably would have been a good, nice 8-point. I don't know. But anyway, that is the first decent sized buck rack that I've gotten in my lifetime. 50 years of hunting. Okay, I've gotten bucks before, but they've all had small antlers. And then when they put this antler restriction in, that kind of put the kiboshes to that too. But anyway, by the time I got done walking and crawling and falling down, and I had to get back to the car, I was beat up and lack of sleep, because of course when you get one that big, especially after 50 years of trying, you don't necessarily sleep well that night because you're running on a little bit of an emotional high, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I amped up.
So it just burned me. It burned out my energy level, and that's one reason why he's not here. And so anyway, this has got me confused as to why we're not picture's not moving. I have no. Because it will, now it says here my device needs a restart. Well, I ain't going to do that now. And I ain't going to do it today either. You guys got me good sound because my mic's not showing very well on the thing here. But anyway, so those are the two things. Oh yes, did I say at the beginning that we may be getting our original mainframe back after about 3 or 4 months? I got a call a little while ago from the kid that was working on it.
I don't know, maybe it's just my phone, but it sounded weird. It was repeating itself.
We were repeating. Anybody else there got that?
It might just be the fact that my phone. Let me step outside and see if that.
Yeah. Well, Canvas says we're 5 by 5. So anyway, yeah, okay, Jack, we're glad to be back. Every day that I get out here and do something is one more day of taking a swipe at you know who. And okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, it says here you were repeating until Scott turned off his phone. So that's what it was. The phone was picking up and going through again.
Yeah, it was
an
internal loop.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I'm glad you guys are getting video because all I got is a solid damn still picture for whatever reason. And they don't want to mush. Doesn't want to move. So, do that as may. As long as it's video in there, it should come out on the. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying about the computer. He called me tonight, and what I thought was wrong with it, and that was the power supply. He asked to order me a new power supply. It'll be about $30 to $40, and probably 2 to 3 weeks before it gets here. And he said he will, as soon as it gets here, he will put it in and bring it to me, and I can pay him for that. So if any of you out there want to contribute to the cost, because my budgets are way out, and then you told me you got that same letter from the VA that I did. Okay, I'm going to explain what I'm talking about to the kids out there. Scotty and I both are veterans. And here in April, for some reason, they stopped sending us a bill for our medicines and services. And all of a sudden here, around the 1st of December, we get a letter telling us that we owe them, in my particular case, almost $600. I don't know what Scotty's was.
Close to 1,000.
1,000, okay. And that they will be sending us another bill in January to finish out the year. So what we owed at that letter will probably be higher than that. So I got to break down and call them and find out who the dumb fuck was that stopped sending us the bill. If you think I was having problems paying my bill back when I was paying $50, $60 a month, what the fuck do you think it's going to be like now that you want $600 all at once? And but there is a clause in there if you can prove it and claim a hardship, they will waiver it or something else. But you shouldn't have to do that. None of us should have to do that. And the son of a bitch that come up with that idea ought to be fired, tarred and feathered and hung from the nearest lamppost so everybody can go by and piss on him. Am I vindictive? No. Do I carry a grudge? Yeah. So, anyway, that's basically the SID rep on what's been going on for the last 2 weeks. So hopefully next week, Mr. T for two for T, Mr. T will be able to get his brother-in-law and sister-in-law to go back to Florida from whence they came, and things can get back to normal down there. But like I said, with them making threats against his wife, he didn't think he ought to come up here. Plus the fact that he can't prove it, but the house has been broken into and the carriage shed where all the machinery is has been broken into, but they can't prove they did it. But that's the name of that too. Most likely it is them, but without actually seeing them or whatever. Yeah, here's one from Emmy, Scott. Government gives everyone $1,200, but charges the vets for meds. This world is in the shitter. Yes. You give all those illegals who come in here and didn't fight for this country, you give them everything they want, but you build the veterans. Okay. I shouldn't sound so grudgingly, but that's the way it is. Those who do not participate get free. Those who participate get charged. More ways than one. So, Scotty, what's up on your... Anything in particular you want to talk about?
No, I just wish this COVID craziness would be done with. I work in the COVID unit at the nursing facility, at the nursing home here in Meadville, and I have been since we started getting patients with positive cases. They're testing all the staff twice a week, and thank whoever, Buddha, God, the devil, whatever, I have yet to test positive, which leads me to believe that I may have some sort of weird immunity to it.
Well,
because I'm not trying to sound boastful or anything, but like I said, I've been waist deep in this, and I don't diligently wear my personal protective equipment as well as I should. I catch myself scratching my face underneath my mask before I wash my hands, stuff like that. So if anybody should have it, I should have it.
Yeah.
It's not like I go, if I go Walmart, if I go to a store and they require a mask, I wear the mask.
Well, over in England, when they started using the vaccine, in the first 24 hours, they had to make some conditions on people who can get the vaccine.
The people are starting to get sick.
Yeah. People that have transplants, no vaccine. People who have underlying conditions, like heart problems, no vaccine. People that have allergies, no vaccine.
They have to have a resuscitation facility.
Yeah, they got to have that. They got to have an EpiPen, and they're not so sure the EpiPen will work on it. Okay, so those are the three things that come out within 24 hours after they started using it. So it is not the cure-all that was cracked up. And now I don't have the latest information because my computer started to puke on me, probably because it's running out of ink. Not computer, printer. So I didn't get all the stuff I wanted, but I'm going to use the computer to pull up a few stories. But anyway, it's what was Australia? I think Australia put a ban on the use of the vaccine down there.
And something else I saw / read that I guess it's a 2-stage vaccine.
Take two shots.
And a good portion of the people, you get crazy sick after the first shot, to the point they're having a hard time getting people to want to take the second dose.
Yeah, because the second dose, well, it's a little early for the second dose because you got to be a couple of weeks between doses, I think. That's what I read or somewhere.
I'm guessing that was in the trials.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean.
Yeah. So, but I was talking to my cousin who's 80. See, I'm 72. She's 8 years or 10 years old. She's 82. I was talking to her. She went down and got the flu shot. Okay, and I was trying to tell her not to do that. I said, because the flu shot that they now have for the senior citizens is quadruple the dose for the average person.
Yeah, it's a high dose.
Yeah. So, last 2 weeks, she was sicker than her dog with diarrhea and stomach cramps and all kinds of shit. And so I told her, I said, well, I asked her, how long ago did you take the flu shot? Well, about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. I said, that flu shot, because of the dosage that they're given, can make people sick. Well, she didn't believe me, so she got to checking around, and sure enough, one of the things they will do will give you diarrhea and stomach cramps and
gastrointestinal distress.
Yes. And makes your asshole feel about 10 times bigger than it was before. And, anyway, there's all kinds of stuff coming out. A couple constitutional professors.
Do you want me to read that one?
You got it there? If you got it there, go ahead and read it. Because I want to bring this one up and I keep forgetting to do that.
Dum-ba-dum. Please.
Probably the last one there.
Maybe it popped up on my phone. I'm guessing it popped up on my phone, and I thought it was.
All right, that's fine. Anyway, according to them, Pence has the right to count the electoral college. And okay, now here's something that I wanted to print out, but it didn't come out right. I don't know if I have it or not, but I'll read it from the computer here. Excuse me. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, okay, who happens to be from the picture, not that I believe in using the term Afro-American, has come out with an astonishing statement. After the Supreme Court failed to respect the votes of law-abiding states, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, the Texas GOP chairman, has bandied about a call for a new union. Nothing he is noting, he is not referring to secession. We need to have states that honor our Constitution, West told Fox News and Friends on Sunday. I know a lot of people have thrown out succession word. I'll never say anything about succession. I talk about law-abiding states. I talk about them forming a union. I talk about an alliance because they are the ones that are abiding by our rule of law. Wes, you got it there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pick it up?
Yep. This is off of WorldNet Daily. In an analysis by two prominent law professors published before the election, mind you, published before the election, concluded that if electoral college votes remain in dispute after they are counted in Congress, the vice president, as presiding officer of the joint session, could choose not to allow certain disputed votes. The scenario isn't entirely remote, with lawsuits challenging the results in 6 states and the possibility the U.S. Supreme Court could weigh in, which we know that didn't happen. John Yoo of California, Berkeley, and Robert J. Delahunty of St. Thomas University wrote in an analysis published October 19th by the Claremont Institute that Vice President Mike Pence can refuse to count some of the votes if they remain disputed. The professors concluded the constitutional structure favors President Trump if Election Day fails to result in a clear winner. They cited the unprecedented circumstance of the COVID-19 pandemic, on the election and envisioned a scenario in which Trump appears to be the winner on the morning after Election Day, but a blue wave begins in the days and weeks after, and Biden claims a belated overtime victory. Just the News reported Norman J. Ornstein of the American Enterprise Institute called the professor's argument ludicrous on its face. Attorney Richard Roth of the New York-based Roth law firm told Just the News that while the essay raises several very valid and very controversial issues, they all rest on one fact: the certification of election results. The professors pointed to the Electoral Count Act of 1887, which establishes deadlines for the states to report their official results and for the 538 members of the Electoral College to meet. The latter date this year is December 14th, or 41 days after Election Day. The state deadline this year is December 8th. The date is a safe harbor. If a state reports in time, Congress will accept its electors. The act provides if any controversy or contest remains after December 8th, Congress will decide which electors, if any, may cast their state's votes in the Electoral College, they explained. They also mentioned the constitutional provision that gives the state legislators the power to appoint electors. The constitutional question is not whether, but how a state legislature could reclaim the appointment of electors. States have provided by statute for the selection of their electors by their voters. Therefore, one might argue they may only resume that power with a second superseding statute. On the other hand, the Constitution specifically designates state legislatures rather than the executives or a combination of the two to choose the electors. A state legislator might argue that a past legislator and governor cannot constrain its discretion to choose the electors today. Is it likely the state legislators in battleground states could reclaim their constitutional power before the December 8th deadline looms? Probably not. I'm not going to go in any farther because they've already pretty much started to certify the votes at the state level. And the fix is in. We know.
The fix has been in. Yeah, that's why the laws were changed. Well, actually, they weren't changed. The law was superseded by orders that under the federal law, all votes casted by mail have to be in by closing time of the polls, or they cannot be counted.
But didn't Pennsylvania
said, okay, well, we're going to wait till Friday. I don't know what time Friday, but till Friday. So all those ballots came in there, so the Democrats would have time to stuff those ballots to get in there, because the official results would have been known on Tuesday evening as to whether or not Trumpy won the popular vote, which, based on what they said, he did. It wasn't until after all the ballots were counted that he didn't. So anyway, again, fix was in. Now, getting back to this Allen West.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you found it, because I thought I had it. West noted that those states that unlawfully enacted new election practices without properly legislating the changes are the ones succeeding. If anyone out there is succeeding from the United States of America, it's the states that have violated our rule of law, he added. West said violating election law and having courts or judges making law to favor one party's leadership in the state election is unconstitutional under equal protection under the law. I think that's a pretty common sense analysis. West concluded this is a huge fracture in the foundation of our constitutional republic. It's the beginning of the end. Whether the people want to realize that or not, it's the beginning of the end. And So, what?
You'll get to. You can watch the Steelers game tonight if you so choose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Playing the Bills.
Yeah, they're about the only team that I watch. I have to have a vent short of going out and blowing things up. Although somebody in the neighborhood was having a good time tonight about 4 o'clock. They were blowing something up and shooting.
Shooting's bad, okay? What you should do is take your bullets and give them to the government for food and stuff, because they're here to protect you. Isn't that what you always taught me?
Oh, here's something from you. What was that? I'm sorry.
I said, isn't it what you always taught me, that we should give up our guns and bullets to the government so they can protect us?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Since it only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to send the police over for a call, you don't need guns. You can let them rape and pillage and kill you. Anyway, here from G.I. Joseph. He was responding to Emily. Right, MEPA state legislature is quietly mulling off sending a second set of electors to tomorrow's meeting to the approach times, whatever that is. This will force it into SCOTUS's whether Liberal Roberts wants it or not. So anyway, I do have to say that there is a lot of pressure from some professionals in Pennsylvania being put on the state legislature to override the electoral count. Okay, they can do that. I won't say who, what, where, when. There's just enough to be said that a friend of mine had contacted me to let me know about this information, so that we can pass it on to anybody that's listening. And by the way, those of you who have been listening on our FM station, it was down for a couple of weeks. We've been having problems with our antenna. Now, I come down here about 3 o'clock, restarted everything, and so far, knock on wood, it is running hot, straight, and normal. So let's hope that we've got things straightened out here. If not, I have another transmitter just in case that one is acting up. It's not quite as powerful, but we will try to keep it going as long as we possibly can until the Chinese come down from Canada and start to sweep the streets. And so, if you haven't got it, you had better get it. And I don't care what it is, whether it's food or if you haven't got a gun, forget it. Ammo, you might still find some if you know the right places to go.
I just found an interesting little meme on the internet machine. It says, everybody has a different sense of humor, so please don't ruin things for everyone just because you have a large stick up your ass. There you go.
Yeah.
Pearls of wisdom.
Enjoy it. Anyway, no, nothing about that got put in our papers or headlines up here as of yet. Maybe tomorrow, but I don't know. And since I'm not watching the nightly news tonight, I don't know if it was on the nightly news, the nightly snooze. See, there was another thing that just came to my mind that I wanted to relate to the kiddies out there, and I can't remember what it is. Oh, it's CRS, can't remember shit. Oh, yes. This goes out to the Democrats that are wearing red with the little swastika or the hammer and sickle on their side bands or shoulder or arm bands. You little son of a bitch, you want to come around and register me and try and put me in a concentration camp or a re-education camp. I will re-educate you right on the spot. So be diligent. Make sure you're wearing that red band so I know which ones to shoot. So I know who is friend and who is foe.
What I would suggest, just to take one step farther, not just the arm, instead of wearing it on your arm, perhaps they could wear it as a bandana on their head, a nice little sight picture.
Yeah.
In a point of aim.
Yeah.
Because I know as time goes on,
Yeah. My eyesight's getting a little bad. Read that. I didn't do well. I got a deer this year, as I was saying. And for the first time in I don't know how many years, kids, I had to shoot 3 times at it. Now, it was only 150 plus yards away, and it was going through some red brush. And I didn't get a chance to hunt last year because my hip got so bad, so I didn't realize how much the red brush over at that far end of the woods line had grown. So, but the funny part of it is, as they come walking across the road along the woods line in the red brush there, it was just walking. It was following the doe. I pulled up on the doe and I saw this other one and I said, well, gee, that is bigger. Not that I'm greedy, but if you're out there and a doe comes by, that if they're by themselves, they look big. If one comes out that looks bigger than the other one, well, you take the bigger one. So I fired. The deer stopped and stood there. What the hell? How could I miss that? So I racked the bolt. And as I racked the bolt, it started walking. Not running, but walking. So I pulled up to another firing lane that used to be nice and clear, and I pulled up there and boom, fired again. And the deer stopped. I'm going, what the hell? Just stopped and looked around, I racked the bolt again, and it started to walk. This time it pulled up, or it walked out, and I squeezed off a shot, and it went 1.5 steps and dropped. It dropped just about the exact spot that I got a smaller buck 2 years ago there. And my buddy that was out there who drug it out for me, I said, how far is that down there? He says, well, that's a good 150 yards plus. And I says, you know what gets me is your brother's in a tree stand just 50 yards from there. Why didn't he? Because I thought I was shooting a big doe. Because I don't see no antlers. And he says, well, they come out here, but they won't clean the firing lanes. Okay, that's why you've been able to take deer right there in front of them, because they're too lazy to come out and clean the firing lanes. So, anyway.
I got a story here that I pulled up off of, I think it's out of the Federalist Papers Project. I found it on Facebook. U.S. judge releases ex-Osama bin Laden henchman early because his obesity makes COVID significantly more risky. This was by the Western Journal, December 11th, 2020. Concerns about his health led to the early release of a former top member of the terrorist network headed by Osama bin Laden. The New York Post reported Friday that Adel Abdelbari, age 60, left behind a New Jersey prison where he had spent 21 years on October 9th. Barry is now in London, where, according to the Sun, has been reunited with his wife and is living in an apartment worth $1.3 million. He had been imprisoned for his role in the 1998 Al-Qaeda attacks on 2 U.S. embassies in Africa. The bombings killed 224 people, including 12 Americans. Barry publicly claimed responsibility for the attacks on behalf of Al-Qaeda, Some of the others involved, including bin Laden, have been killed while others are serving life sentences. But Barry's lawyer said that all that was in the past this fall, as he argued the terrorist should be released early because of his health and COVID-19 concerns. It goes on to quote, Mr. Barry's continued incarceration now significantly increases his risk of infection, which could wreak disastrous health outcomes, the lawyer wrote. Prosecutors said the 230-pound Barry's body mass index of 36 made them willing to agree, according to the Post. The defendant's obesity is an extraordinary and compelling reason that could justify a reduction of his sentence in light of the current pandemic, they wrote. U.S. Judge Lewis A. Kaplan granted Barry's early release. It's quoted as saying, defendant's obesity and somewhat advanced age made COVID-19 significantly more risky to him than the average person, Kaplan wrote. Barry would have been freed October 28 without the court action, according to the Post. He fled his native Egypt in 1991 and was granted asylum in Britain in 1997. According to The Sun, Barry would be at risk of death or torture if he returned to Egypt. The outlet quoted a security source as saying Britain was not pleased to host the terrorist. His return remains a huge headache for the Home Secretary. She is intent on ridding the country of threats, but there's a notorious terrorist dumped right on her doorstep, The Sun quoted the source as saying. Edith Bartley, who lost her father and a brother in the bombings, was also irritated by the fact that Barry is now walking free. Just serving a sentence doesn't mean that a person has been rehabilitated, doesn't mean that their core thinking has changed, she said. According to the New York Times, this is a person who can still do harm in the world. But some said the system is what it is. Not everyone who is convicted of a terrible crime spends life in prison. Nicholas J. Lewin, a former assistant U.S. attorney who helped prosecute Barry, told The Times, people are released upon finishing their sentence. It's fundamental to our system of justice. That's that. So, this chucklehead.
Has anybody been paying attention to Biden's list of appointees?
Yeah, they're looking at Cuomo for Attorney General.
Yeah, but you're looking at the list of them.
I haven't seen.
They're retreads from the abomination.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know if I told you kids, I saw the story this afternoon, and I didn't get a chance to pick it up. A gun manufacturer who makes 80% polymer lower receivers for AR-15s and the 80% lower receiver for the Glock has been raided by the ATF for putting out the Glock kit with the 80% receiver and not doing, as the excuse they're saying, a background check to see who is buying those kits. So it's another case of, what? I know what it's another case of. It's a sting operation, and so anyway, whoever this polymer company is, I don't know if they'll continue to be able to make the 80% lower AR mag receivers, but as far as the Glocks go, it looks like that will dry up until somebody takes it to the Supreme Court. And with the way things are going in this country, now that Trump is a lame duck, it seems that everybody, that all these so-called conservatives have gone commie on us. Okay, I'll say it. The Supreme Court justices that were supposedly being appointed by Trump because they were conservatives, so far have done everything that the commies want in regards to all these electoral challenges and that. So, anyway, Starbucks, you know who they are. They announced that they're going to boost their minimum wage to $15 an hour. $15 an hour for serving coffee.
And you know what's going to happen? They're going to lose so much.
Bankrupt.
Well, they're going to lose so much money. They're going to start automating, and those people are going to lose their damn jobs.
Well, that's the other thing. Because over in Titusville, you go in there and they've already automated. You go into the McDonald's there at Titusville.
Yeah, I haven't been down there, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, Randall, we used to stop there and get a breakfast on the way up to the camp. Because of the time of the day we left, we didn't want to take time cooking, so we just get a couple eggs and muffins. So he went in there and he come back out and he says, "Man, what a clusterfuck." He says, "They got these people in there with these new computers that do all the ordering, but if you don't know how to work them, you're screwed unless you can track down an employee behind the counter," which is supposed to be a couple of them there, to help those out who do not know how to use their new hickey-wacky thingamabobber. And what gets me is, about the same time that system got put into effect, McDonald's started losing money. And so, anyway, kids, these are the different things that are going on that are going to hurt the economy. Like you said, well, we got 21 people that work here, and we're paying them $15 an hour. Well, we can cut that down to 10 people working here and get rid of 11, and using the automation system, we can save that $150 a day, $160 a day. So,
Yeah.
and what gets me is when we were talking about bringing out the raising the minimum wage nationwide, some economists got on there and saying that, testifying before Congress, there is no absolute proof that raising the minimum wage increases the unemployment rate in this country. Well, I'll just stop and think. If you're an employee, or employer, and you got 10 people working for you, and you're paying them the minimum wage of $7.50, okay? Is that a living wage? No, it's not. But it was not designed to be a living wage. It was an entry. Most of these minimum wage jobs are entry-level jobs. So you go in and you get experience under your belt, how to work with your fellow man, how to work with your clients, and how to deal with your boss. So it's basically a paid training session. But when your boss gets told he has to raise his bottom line, pay you $15 an hour, double, he can't afford it. It's costing him double now. So what's he going to do? He's going to cut probably half his work staff, and then you have to do twice as much.
Or he will just make people part-time, so they cut back on
Number of hours. So you
well,
pay the fringes.
the fringe benefits. Yep.
So, well, let me blank this one out. I'm going to go here and bring up WorldNet Daily and see what I can find. We got 10 minutes before the break.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's something we've been talking about. I did see this elsewhere. Biden on potential disagreement with Kamala. I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign.
It did real well with what was said about back in the spring when
In a CNN joint interview with running mate Senator Kamala Harris, Joe Biden said that if he has a fundamental disagreement with Harris while she serves as his vice president, he will develop some disease and say, "I have to resign." While Biden likely meant this line to be a joke, he delivered it straight, and neither he nor Harris laughed. It appears CNN moderator Jake Tapper also did not laugh. Biden insisted that he agreed with Kamala Harris on important matters like his philosophy of government, and he only spoke about getting sick and resigning in cases of fundamental disagreement. But all kidding aside, it's a matter of the thing we are simpatico on our philosophy of government and simpatico on how we want to approach these issues that we're facing, Biden said. When we disagree, so far it's been just like when Barack and I did. It's in private. She'll say, "I think we should do A, B, C, or D," and I'll say, "I like A, don't like B and C." Like I told Barack, if I reach something where there's a fundamental disagreement we have based on a moral principle, I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign, Biden said. While the text suggested Biden meant to joke, neither he nor Kamala Harris laughed at the statement, and it appears Tapper did not laugh either. Biden delivered the line seriously, as if he were continuing to speak frankly about his discussions with Kamala Harris and former President Barack Obama. After all, Biden began the vignette with the statement, "All kidding aside, it seems as though Biden were reading from a script written by someone else who intended the getting sick line as a joke, but Biden didn't get the joke, so he delivered it as though it were a serious remark." Naturally, it seems highly unlikely Biden actually intended to pledge to the American people that in cases of serious disagreement with Kamala Harris, he would simply get sick and resign. After all, if he did win the as yet disputed 2020 election, Americans elected Biden, not Harris, to be president. But his delivery and the reactions of others involved make it harder to just dismiss his comment as tongue-in-cheek. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
So they're already starting to put that idea, that thought in people's heads.
Which is what I said here about 2 or 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago.
We've said it. We've been saying it for the last, ever since he became the front runner.
Yeah. Okay, kids, I'm going to play a song here because it is 6 minutes to 7, and my voice is getting a little parched. So I'm going to play a song here. It's about 5 minutes and 2 seconds. So if you're not that, right away quit. Don't worry, we will.
Do not wish this life to pass, but life presents such possibilities each and every day. I heard a calling that was right for me. I prayed for strength for what's ahead of me. Show me the way. Please show me the way. The sun rose high and burnt the night away. Who stood before me was my enemy. Don't tread on me. He's come to take away my liberties. I'd rather die than be a slave to thee. Don't treat me this way. I'd rather die than be your slave. I will survive. And you feel my rage. It's not a question of being brave. I'd rather die than be your slave. Didn't matter who shot first that day. They killed my brothers, they lay dead by me. We hit them hard, we made them pay that day. We hung the traitors from the highest trees. Mercy from no mercy from me. We lost a lot, our pain was heavy. We sacrificed for God and country. No more color. Still held the ground that was in front of me. This was the price to pay for liberty. Still you hear me say, I'd rather die than be your slave. I will survive. And you feel my rage. It's not a question of being brave. I'd rather die than be your slave. Time has passed, we repeat history. Our toys have changed while man has stayed the same. Evil in his tribal families rule not over me. I will not let them rape my liberty. We'll die for them today. I'd rather die than be your slave. I will survive. My rage, it's not a question of being brave. I'd rather die than be your slave. I'd rather die than be your slave. You know I will survive.
No, you taught me how to do this. I said I did. Okay, well, we're going back now. Turn the mic back on. Mic back on.
I'm back.
You're back. We back. Back.
Stop it. Good grief.
Okay, what were I going here? Oh, did you want, before I go into this story here, how about you reading this one from Rush Limbaugh?
Mm-hmm. Rush Limbaugh, Constitution is hanging in the balance. Talk radio host Rush Limbaugh says it should be a slam dunk for the U.S. Supreme Court to take up the lawsuit challenging the results in 4 battleground states filed by Texas because the Constitution is hanging in the balance. What this is about, boil it down to its essence, these 4 states changed election law in violation of the way election law is changed. According to the state constitutions of these states, he told his listeners Thursday, referring to Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Only the state legislatures can change election law in these states. And the state legislatures have had nothing to do with the changes that took place, Limbaugh explained. The Supreme Court recently has ruled, in fact, that the COVID-19 pandemic does not suspend the terms of the U.S. Constitution. In practically every state that's in question here, the Secretary of State or other officials took it upon themselves to arbitrarily change the way electors are chosen. The electors are the people who actually elect the president, Limbaugh argued. Texas, which filed directly with the U.S. Supreme Court because it's a dispute between states, alleges Texas voters were injured because of the fraudulent way the 2020 presidential race was run in the 4 states. Limbaugh said it would seem to be a slam dunk that the court would take the case because there are clear constitutional violations here. Limbaugh noted the Electoral College meets December 14th to elect the president. So the bottom line here is that constitutionally, if that's the focus, then the U.S. Constitution has been violated wantonly here by these states, he said. And Texas is saying, you're not trying to do this to get you to elect Donald Trump. We're not here for you to overturn the election results. We're not doing this because we want you to throw out the election. What we want you to do is to penalize these states who have changed electoral law illegally. The U.S. Constitution is hanging in the balance here because if these 4 states are allowed to get away with changing something as fundamental as how presidential electors are selected state by state, then the electors in our states are not safe, he said. That's why 17 states have joined Texas here. It's all about the United States Constitution and maintaining its integrity and its primacy. He noted that Trump was leading when the 4 states suspended the vote count in the early morning hours after Election Day. We all know that they stopped counting at the same time. We all know these states were scared to death what was happening with Trump's lead. They had to stop the count, he said. They had to go find votes, and in the process, they changed election law, and the state of Texas is trying to make sure the Supreme Court understands the gravity of it. He emphasized that Texas is not asking the court to pick a winner. They're not asking the court to overturn the election. You see, they think that'll happen if they get a ruling in their favor anyway, he said. And that's that.
That's that. Okay, see, a lot of people are out here they're seeing what's going on, even though the rank and file of the Democratic Party apparently doesn't or is asleep. But here's one I got from WorldNet Daily. Since Dems congressman demands Pelosi block 126 elected GOP congressmen from being seated. Okay. One. Republicans who do not kowtow to the Democratic interpretation of the election result should be treated as traitors and banned from taking the seats to which voters elected them, according to a Democratic congressman from New Jersey. Is it possible, since we're talking about this, is it possible that the people who elected them saw what was going on and they didn't want it to happen? The Trump campaign has insisted there has been voter fraud in states that included Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, as well as Pennsylvania. Despite multiple claims of voting irregularities, concrete proof, back here, this thing goes too fast. Concrete proof has yet to surface that there was widespread effort to distort the voting process in such a way that it would have, alter the final results of the presidential election. Numerous affidavits testifying to various types of election fraud have been filed in the courts in several swing states. These affidavits indicate that those who witnessed conducted believe that fraud took place, but those allegations have yet to be proven through either the court or law enforcement. Last week, Texas sought to have the Supreme Court intervene, but was rebuffed. More than 120 Republican members of Congress signed the brief supporting the lawsuit. And in the judgment of Democrat Representative Bill Parcell of New Jersey, those representatives have betrayed the nation by urging the court to hear the case. Suck a dick, you dickhead.
That was rude.
I know. I gotta push the button here that says read more. See if there's more to be read. Yep, that's it. That's all they gave me of that story, so that wasn't hardly read. Well, anyway, it goes to show you what I was saying about the liberal courts, conservative courts have deserted the Republicans and the conservatives. And
Yeah, they certainly have not done us any favors.
so, anyway, kids, let's see what they got going here. Oh, yeah. Hey, Jack, I have a friend of mine that I was talking to yesterday who brought up about the Chinese. Did you guys see our brothers in Canada are training the Chinese on the border? What the? Thanks, Canada. Yeah, Canada. I guess what we're going to have to do is when we have the Civil War and we beat the Chinese back to China, then we're going to have to go up there and clean the pinkos out of Canada. You know, there's a lot of people up in Canada that don't like what's going on, so they might join in the festivities and finally throw off the yoke of the Queen. I didn't watch the game yesterday. I've been busy putting things together for people that need some stuff. So if you live within distance and want to pay for the shippage, I could probably send you some candy for your candy maker. So
Yeah, I like candy.
yeah, me three. I like the hardball stuff where you can chew on it for quite a while. And that's anyway. I wonder how much of this show is going to be edited by YouTube. I wonder if that's why our video is just frozen in one position. I can't figure that out. So
It certainly doesn't make any sense.
yeah. So anyway, you got anything on there you want to talk about? Oh, I know. While you're looking, I wanted to tell you. Mom and I took some of that beer bread that you made us with the cheese. You ate that, and I just for the sake of trying it, I put some honey on the one with the cheddar cheese. Oh boy, I don't know if people understand that, but you take mead, which is made from honey, or is used in making honey, which is a form of beer, and that, so I can't see why it wouldn't work at making a nice tasty piece of toast.
I'm not a big fan of honey. There's something about it that just
Well,
I like it on peanut butter toast.
yeah, the thing about honey is I found that if you're diabetic and you eat honey, it doesn't have the adverse effect on you as the processed sugars.
It's all natural.
It's all natural, yeah. And that's why I've been eating more of the foods that have natural sweeteners in it. Even though they tell me, well, you shouldn't eat lots of fruit because they got lots of sugar in it. Yeah, well, okay, I understand that, but if you stop eating everything you can eat because you got sugar, then what can you eat? Then you gotta quit eating everything that's got greens in it because you're subject to blood clots. So what's that leave you to eat? Okay? And then if you stop cutting out all the bread and the pastas and all the other shit that's made from flour because it turns to sugar, what do you got left to eat?
What you need to do is you take whiskey and you pour it over rolled oats. There.
Rolled oats. I'm going to have great butts.
All right. Back to the whole COVID nonsense. Some California sheriffs won't enforce Newsom's stay-at-home order. Deputies in several California counties say they won't enforce Governor Gavin Newsom's stay-at-home order at businesses, reports Fox 11. Newsom on Thursday announced the state's strictest new measures aimed at keeping hospitals from becoming overwhelmed, including sweeping stay-at-home orders set to take effect when the intensive care units in the region's hospitals fill to more than 85% capacity. Non-essential businesses such as hair salons, gyms, movie theaters, and other facilities will be ordered to close, and restaurants will only be able to serve takeout. I want to stay away from businesses that are trying to comply the best they can, Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva told Fox 11. They bent over backwards to modify their entire operation to conform to these current health orders, and then they have the rug yanked out from under them. That's a disservice. I don't want to make their lives any more miserable, Villanueva said. Sheriffs in Ventura County and San Bernardino County, in a statement to the news outlets, said they were more focused on educating the public about the health orders. Our approach to enforcement of the continuously evolving health orders has not changed from the onset of the pandemic, said Ventura County Sheriff Bill Iam. Our approach is one of educating the public of the health orders and encouraging compliance with them. Enforcement has always been an option for our staff to use with considerable discretion. However, our primary goal is to seek voluntary compliance whenever possible. Sheriffs in Orange and Riverside counties told Fox 11 they also refused to enforce the governor's curfew order. Well, our governor, beloved Mein Führer Wolf, has made it similar.
Mein Führer?
Yeah.
You see where they finally gave him a clear bill of health again?
Yeah.
Tossed a negative?
Well, here's my thought. I'm going to go on my little pedestal. Like I was saying earlier, I've been knee deep in it, and I get tested twice a week, and I have yet to test positive. There's been a lot of other people in our facility, residents and staff, that have tested positive. And there's some of us that have not. Here's an anecdotal bit of evidence. I have a relative that works at the local hospital. She is one of the true believers in the hand washing and the proper PPE and don't go anywhere you don't need to go to, And she works in the cath lab, so she knows. I mean, it's not like she's just working in sanitation. She's in it, and she tested positive. So if somebody who does everything right all the time can still get it, I mean, at some point you just have to start living your life. If you don't think that you feel comfortable going to the store, don't go. Give me a call. I'll bring you some eggs, milk, and bread. Be done with it. But I don't see how shutting things down and dragging this out.
Well, they've already said that the first shutdown was a mistake. Okay, the first shutdown of the country was a mistake, because if they'd let this going through, now protect the people that needed, that were susceptible, like the elderly in the nursing home. Mm-hmm. Okay, limit the visitations to them, yes. Let the rest of the population mingle and develop the herd
immunity
to it, and because there's people out there that got it, will test positive, but they don't have any symptoms because they're asymptomatic. Okay, and why are they that way? Maybe it's because they had the flu a couple years ago, and their body still has the immunities in it. And Alex Jones just confirmed what I've been doing for the last 6 months, ever since I heard about the coronavirus, and that is taking a double dose of vitamin C daily. I'm taking 3,000 milligrams of vitamin D3, and I'm taking magnesium oxide, and I now started taking, because I couldn't find the zinc, I'm now taking an antioxidant that does have zinc in it. And to tell you the truth, since I started taking that antioxidant and the magnesium oxide, the neuropathy in my feet has succeeded quite a bit. It hasn't gone away, but it's succeeded quite a bit. I just want to ask one. No, that's not it. Okay, Dave. I saw your thing about the changing the date to 29th and 30th for the gun show. I don't know if things will be open by the state by then to allow us to have them. I know the Harbor Creek Gun Show last week was canceled, so the people that put that on also have a show coming up in January. I think around the 10th or 11th of January, somewhere in that neighborhood. So. Yeah, gun shows are going to be a nifty thing right now in Pennsylvania with the dictator and sleaze in Washington and Harrisburg, and Canada will come in from the north, and Mexico will come in from the south with Venezuelan troops. Well, the Amish say they will be having it. Okay, I'll have to set my sights and mark that down the 29th and 30th of January, because that might very well be the last chance that you can get some of the stuff that I've been working on. So,
Here's something that I haven't seen. I look at Breitbart about 1,000 times a day and a couple other news sources, and this is the first article I've seen about this. Portland leftists build war zone style barriers to keep cops out. And this isn't that Chaz place. This is something different. Radical leftists erected war zone style barricades to block Portland, Oregon police from enforcing an eviction order on the occupants of what is known as the Red House on Mississippi. The barricade is at least 3 blocks wide and in some places consists of 6-layer fence and barricade. Earlier this week, protesters repelled Portland police officers that came out to assist the local sheriff's office in serving a legal eviction order on a foreclosed house. As officers arrived, protesters fought back violently and repelled the officers, Breitbart News reported. Portland's Democrat Mayor Ted Wheeler, recently re-elected in a runoff election, promised to restore order and pledged there will be no autonomous zone in Portland. 2 days later, the leftists continued to illegally occupy the newly established autonomous zone and expanded it to its now 3-block diameter. Portland Police Bureau Chief Chuck Lavelle said his department was aware of a stockpile of weapons and the presence of firearms. On Thursday, Chief Lavelle said the Portland police will enforce the law and use force if necessary to restore order to the neighborhood. Despite the threats from the mayor and the police chief, leftists continued reinforcing the autonomous zone and erected multi-layer border walls to slow down any police action. As of Sunday morning, the barriers remain in place. Reports indicate an agreement may have been reached between the leftists and the city. Tweets circulated on social media asking people to come help take down the barricades and clear the streets. Barricades that had blocked a stretch of North Mississippi Avenue reportedly were coming down Sunday morning after a black and indigenous family fighting to save their North Portland house, lost to foreclosure, struck a tentative deal with city officials, the Oregonian reported. Mayor Wheeler's office did not confirm the agreement with the local newspaper. The Oregonian reported that crowdsourcing donors raised more than $300,000 for the evicted family, who reportedly owns another home where they currently live nearby. The current owner, who purchased the home in a 2018 foreclosure auction, said he is willing to sell the home to the former owners. It is not known if that is the current deal that has reportedly been reached. why that the powers that be, the authorities, allowed that to happen. It's stunning.
Well, it's because the mayor and the governor of the state came out and said they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Then they decided they're going to shut down the police departments by taking away some of their funding. So when you do that,
It empowers.
It empowers the assholes to do what they're doing, and then what happens? You get chaos, anarchy, and that's exactly one in this country. You can't control the people, so we can bring in the Chinese people who are up in Canada and the Venezuelans who are down in Mexico.
It seemed kind of funny that, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago, when there was that the Bundys that had taken over this wildlife refuge or whatever, and they ended up being murdered. One of them did, anyhow.
Yeah. Finnegan, a 70-some-year-old guy, was ambushed.
Mm-hmm. He was supposedly en route to a...
He was unarmed, and he was en route to a supposed meeting with the people. And they ambushed him and killed him. And then they tried to say he was carrying a 9mm, and he never owned a 9mm in his life. He was in the old cowboy school and carried a .45 revolver and a .45 long pole.
Yeah, he even dressed like he had the boots and the belt and the hat and the whole bit.
You see the shooting at the church in New York City?
No, I didn't.
Open-air church, and the gunman fired on the choir forming the thing. This is off of Newsmax.com. Let's see if it says real quick how many. Shot himself and then was wounded by the police. Hopefully he died. Nothing on there as to the count. So.
Well, there was some idiot BLM Antifa knucklehead down in D.C. stabbed 4 people.
Yeah, gotta get him and stab him. If I was a relative of some of those people, I'd seek that son of a bitch out and stab him. If they don't want law in this country, you want chaos. Why? Just remember, the sword cuts both ways. Down that. Now, there's a lot of shit going on with the Georgia election coming up. If I were the people in Georgia and you're Republican in this runoff, I would be flooding, if they got mail-in ballots, I'd be flooding that place with mail-in ballots. Or better yet, don't go with the mail-in ballots. Go to the poll where it's harder to change your vote. And that. So, Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott sees a big win for incumbents in Georgia Senate race. 2 big wins for. Here we go. An update on Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden's subpoena seeks info on Burisma other entities. Now let's just go into that and see what they have to say, if you will bring it up. Come on, that's it. This is off of Newsmax. A subpoena seeking documents from Hunter Biden asked for information related to more than 24 entities, including Ukraine gas company Burisma. According to a person familiar with the Justice Department tax investigation of President-elect Joe Biden's son, the brief of the subpoena issued Tuesday underscores the wide-angle lens prosecutors are using as they examine the young Biden's finances and international business ventures. Hunter Biden ties to Burisma in particular have long dogged the political work and political aspirations of his father, Joe Biden, now president of the elect of the United States. It's unclear whether Hunter Biden worked at the Ukraine company is a central part of the federal investigation, or whether prosecutors are simply seeking information about all his sources of income in recent years. The person was not authorized to discuss an ongoing investigation publicly and spoke to the Associated Press on conditions of anonymity. We get that all the time. A lawyer for the younger Biden, George Messiers, did not immediately return the phone messages seeking comment for the story, and spokesman for the Biden transition team declined comment. While you wouldn't expect them to do that because it may shed whatever. Hunter Biden confirmed Wednesday that his taxes are under federal investigation. These should have been done before. They should not have been put on a hold because the election was going on and his daddy was running for presidente. The revelation comes as a delicate time for the president-elect, who is building out his cabinet and will soon decide on his nominee to run the Justice Department, the same department overseeing the investigation of his son. Oh boy, he don't dare make a change now. In addition to the Burisma-related request, the subpoena issued last week also seeks information on Biden's Chinese business dealings and other financial transactions. If you haven't figured it out, the Chinese own both Bidens, and they own most of the Democratic Party. Okay, the probe was launched in 2018, the year before his father announced his candidacy for president. At one point, the investigation probe prosecutors were also examining potential money laundering offenses. Two people familiar with the matter told AP. How much more is there? This is a pretty long story. So, well, we ain't going to go on to that any further than that. Just that you see the gist of the corruption that is being brought in. However you feel about the shit, like I said, this investigation should never have been interrupted just because his daddy got his what do you call that when he gets the nomination, but it's not a consensus? Because because of the coronavirus, all the primary elections were put on postponed or canceled for the Democrats. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he was the winner by default because he was ahead. But then, if you listen back to what Kamala Harris had said, she had quit.
Yeah, she only got like less than 1% of any of the
votes. She had quit.
In the primaries.
But she said there was a deal made. Now we know what the deal was because Biden jokingly referred to it as, if we have a disagreement, I will voluntarily resign my office. So we now know exactly what this is all about. It is to bring in a devout communist system into this country, and Trump being the figurehead to get the vote to bring him in, because I don't think they felt a female was going to be able to be elected as president as yet, with the way the economy was, the way the country was going. So next best thing, if we strike a deal, I get elected, I step down, you become president, and the Chinese will be at your beck and call to police America, to keep the American public straight. Well, I hate to say this, but I'll probably die for it. But I see a Chinese walking the streets of America.
He better be delivering some Kung Pao chicken. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he better be bringing some chicken. Otherwise, if he's got an American interpreter, I'm shooting the interpreter first and then the Chinese second. Why? Because the other guy's a traitor. Okay? Pure and simple. If we shoot enough traitors, we won't have any traitors. I mean, if they want to claim that these state elected Republicans from these different states, 126 of them, are traitors because they refuse to accept the decision of the courts and the so-called election. They want them banned so no traitors would get in and cause any disruption of the system. You see where they're going?
Yeah.
Okay. And they had a list of some of the states here. So,
Kind of messed up when you can be called a traitor just because you don't agree with their policy.
yeah.
As harebrained as it is.
That's what they're saying. You know, that's what they've been saying. I know people called me a traitor when I first got enlisted. Because they didn't understand the reason why. Okay. But now those same people are calling me a patriot. I'm not a patriot. I'm just dumb Pollock read the writing on the wall.
I call you a pain in the ass.
And my relatives lived over in communist Poland, and some of them disappeared under the regime of the Nazis and Hitler. So don't give me no shit about being a traitor to my country. So anyway, all I can say is I will do what I have to do to protect mine and my family, and legally or illegally, whichever way it has to be done. Okay? If I can get close enough to slit your throat, then I'll slit your throat.
My son showed me something interesting. He's all about hacks, life hacks. Interesting little ditties to make your life better. He's like, you should always have an extra a little bit of money on you, Dad. I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I have a wallet. He's like, no. He said he read somewhere where people are putting a little bit of money in their cell phone case.
Mm-hmm. Well, my cell phone don't open up. So.
Well, I had to buy the case extra, and I'm sure you could get a case for yours. I just thought it was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Smart. And half the time I forget it's even in there, so.
No, it used to be they put it in your shoe.
I smell what comes out of there. It's pretty horrible.
Well, that's all right. Didn't know it was yours.
Ugh.
That way, if it ever got stolen, you can track it down.
Yeah.
Get your bloodhound out there and let them smell your feet and say, okay, kid, go find it. So,
Yeah, I just thought that was a clever little idea.
well, it is. It's just like some of the ideas that I've been trying to tell people that they need to do with their canteens. I know I've been telling people to do it, and I keep forgetting to do it. To take a couple coffee filters, fold them up, put them in the bottom of your canteen cover. Okay, if you have the metal one, put it in there. And then when you have to drink water from the stream or something, or get water from the stream, you take that filter and put it over top of the cap. Put the canteen, filter it in, and you will get rid of a lot of the garbage that's flowing. Now, don't throw that away. Don't throw that filter away, because if you take it and put it somewhere, it'll dry, and you can use it again.
And then they're pretty good fire starters, too.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're thinking, and I got to do this because I got several canteens, I need to break down and put the 2 or 3 filters or 4 filters at the bottom of the canteen.
That's a good idea. I never heard that before.
Yeah. That was my idea.
I'll never do it then.
So leastwise, I don't know of anybody that's ever said to do that. I know people say, well, you need to carry some water filters. Well, water filters are kind of big and bulky. This way you can carry the coffee filters and clean a lot of the garbage out, and then you can go back to camp and boil the water for, 30 minutes? 20 to 30 minutes. And then you can drink it safely.
Yeah. Here's something that I just kind of popped into my head. We talked a lot about that Epstein character.
Yeah.
And then his confidant who got arrested, Ghislaine Maxwell, or however you say her name. And then shortly after she got arrested, we started seeing these news stories pop up where these missing and exploited kids, 25 found here, 30 found here, and all of a sudden that just went away. I honestly, I wonder what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? I understand that the election is kind of just flooding the airwaves, but how many of these people?
The COVID-19. COVID-19. But right now that's a major distraction. Remember what Mark said? Keep the people distracted, then you pick their fucking pocket.
That's exactly it.
Why didn't say it that way? Single-use of toilet paper. Now, Canada's toilet paper will not work as a filter for water. Might work for keeping your ass clean, but no, it will dissolve in water. So stick with the coffee filter. And if you should happen to run out of toilet paper, you can buy this real flimsy paper towels. And you can use that, especially if you're not going to be flushing, you're going to be out in the woods and you need to go, and wait and leave it. So take paper towels if you can't get a hold of toilet paper.
Oh, I'll tell you what I used to do when I used to go to camp, or what the times I've gone to your undisclosed location and I couldn't find toilet paper, I just used one of your shirts.
Yeah, you can do that.
I did. That's why they smell so pretty.
When I was out in the woods hunting a couple times, and I ate something I shouldn't have ate for breakfast. That's why I decided when I'm going hunting, I don't eat a breakfast. Not a big one anyway.
Yeah.
Not right away. I put my ass over a log and used leaves. And when I did, I made sure the leaves were not.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that.
Okay, G.I. Joseph says Chinese police are already policing here. Do you have a name of the state or city there, G.I. Joseph? Just out of curiosity. I'm not doubting your word. I just,
Verification.
Just one verification, yeah. So, speaking, since we were talking about the virus again, up in Cambridge Springs,
The women's prison?
the women's prison. About 12 miles, 15 miles north of Meadville, there's a women's prison that has about not quite 700 inmates, 650 or so. Yeah.
It used to be the
College.
the Alliance College. It
Yeah.
was a Polish, the Polish Alliance or whatever.
Yeah. So it used to be a college, and the state took it over and turned it into a women's prison. Well, there was over 650, almost 700 inmates in there. Friday, I believe it was, I read in the paper where 453 Countyans were sick. Of that, all of them were from the women's prison, except for about 111.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant 350. Well, today I saw an update, and they're saying there was another 150 and about 30 employees. So now you have a facility that has been under lockdown, has gotten 600 cases. I wonder who's taking care of those people. Okay. And here's something else that came to me today. I know we have posse comitatus where the military is not allowed to police this country. But with this current pandemic, Scott, you can answer me if you know. I'm basically answering. Has anybody seen or heard any word of where the military medical establishment is helping any of these doctors and nurses,
Yes.
and that.
I know a National Guard unit had come into my facility and essentially to see if we needed help, and they reviewed everything that we're doing, all the facilities that we have, our staffing, and they deemed it that we didn't need their help. I also heard that at the Rolling Fields nursing home, they've also had probably some of the same National Guard people doing the same kind of thing. I don't know if they're helping.
Well, they might be tied up now up at the ladies' prison. You don't know. With that many cases, you don't.
And hopefully most of those cases are just asymptomatic or just got a mild cold. But if they start getting really, really bad.
You haven't seen any of that on the national news where they're helping out. The only thing you saw was in the summer where they brought in field hospitals and set them up.
And they didn't use them.
They didn't use them. Now I saw this week that one of the big cities that's having a major outbreak of coronavirus again has almost 1,000-bed hospital that had been closed down due to lack of business. They're now reopening it to put COVID victims in there. I'm not sure where it was.
You need to stop saying COVID. It's COVID.
COVID.
Coronavirus. The Rona.
Corona. Yeah. So anyhow, the COVID. How dare them put it so close to the spelling and pronunciation of COVID. Anyhow. And the hospital ships. I haven't seen anything about the hospital ships returning to any of the ports with the like New York or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't have network television, so I don't get the news that way. And but what I do get, I get from.
You see, my theory on this, why the news media is not putting this out, is in order for the military to be able to do that, they have to have orders from Trump because of the Posse Comitatus Act. Now, they're not going in to enforce any laws. They're going in to help sick people like they would in the flood and all that kind of stuff. But you don't see any of that, and you don't see any news telling you about it. The medical corps being there staffing one of their field hospitals with all these people in it. Or remember when they had the hospital ships?
Yes.
And they only had 2 or 3 people on the hospital ships? And now we have 10 times the outbreak, and hospital ships aren't there. And if they are, they're not being told that they're there.
Yeah, it's just weird how all these problems were being dealt with by military, and then now that it's a real problem, you don't hear anything about that. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody that's in the National Guard. I do know one of the people that works for in the physical therapy department. She is a physical therapist through her National Guard unit or reserve unit, and her group was activated to go work at a hospital down near Virginia or Maryland, one of the two, or near DC. So, but that was only for a month and a half, 2 months, and she was back.
You might ask her if she knows.
I will.
See what she knows.
I'll pick her brain. I don't see her all that often because I am on the lockdown unit, and people avoid that like the goddamn plague. Pardon the pun.
Apparently there was a cop execution and a Chinese family had to be flown in to identify him.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, G.I. Joseph, I know that they're being deployed, and what I've been saying for years And that was one of the reasons why I went to the Chinese restaurants. Was we had, for a small town of about 12,000 people, we had 3 Chinese restaurants. Okay, one over there on Park Avenue where Elby's used to be, one at the Park Avenue Plaza, and then over at Penn Plaza there was one there for a while. Okay.
And there's also the one right down across from the movie theaters.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I haven't been to that one, but I have been to the one at the Park Avenue Plaza and the one at the old Elby's or Arby's store, Elby's store. And I noticed one thing: all the men were young, haircut high and tight, all buff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back 6 months later, the personnel has changed, but their configuration is still the same, young.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've been personally thinking that the Chinese have been occupying this country in a nonviolent way,
Infiltrating
in a nonviolent way until such time as they are given the orders. And to keep from them getting to be known too well in a community, they are rotated from one community to another. So that people would, now about the longest I've seen any Chinese, even with the women, the longest I've seen any Chinese women stay was the one that was at the Park Avenue Plaza. And she was there for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And she went. She was, like I said, older, but then she went. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Chinese are already occupying. What better way to do it? You got a Chinese restaurant. You got 15 to 20 employees, and you've got 3 restaurants. You now have 60. You have a platoon.
Then think about all these Dollar Generals popping up all over. I bet you there's like underground tunnels between the Chinese restaurants and the Dollar Generals.
I know there's sewers.
Something. Yeah, but like you said,
I don't want to. Somebody said right on, whatever that was. Jack Flash was right on. So whatever I said was right on. But that's been my theory for years about these Chinese. And up until the coronavirus, I used to go about every 6 months to China, eat Chinese, and that. But don't get me wrong, it was good food. But just I enjoyed the cat and the sweet and sour chicken dog real good. But yeah, this has been, and I mentioned this to Mike when he was alive, and he said he hadn't really noticed until after I mentioned it. And then when he was driving on the road and started going to different places and they had Chinese, he went there and he started looking and paying attention and started saying, gee, he's right. What the hell's going on here? So anyhow, just food for thought and for you to keep an eye on the Chinese restaurants in your area.
I haven't been to one since everything got locked down back about a year ago. I
haven't either.
I think just the thought of it is just so icky to me right now.
Yeah. And so,
being a racist white guy.
What?
To being a racist white guy, we can't tell the difference between one person of color or the other.
Well, I can tell the difference between a brown eye and a slant eye.
I can't. I just see hate.
Just see hate?
Just feel it keeps me warm at night.
You're misspelling it. It's not hate, it's heat.
Oh.
That's what's keeping you warm at night.
Oh, man.
Just like me and the co-ed virus.
The co-ed virus.
Well, it's co-ed. It's not particular. It gets everybody, right? Yep, men have all military style haircuts and physics and the age too. That's what I was saying. Okay. Yeah. Jack Flash. I like to read some of these once in a while because some of them
They
got some
interject a
ideas.
good ideas.
Yeah. So, well, we got about 9 more minutes on that. And I'm just wondering if it got too cold in here for that piece of equipment to keep running, the radio over there. And it needed some heat to dry it out. Because it's working perfectly okay right at the present moment, knock on wood. And it's been working that way for 3 hours.
Got really cold in here.
Yeah. A little cold and damp. So it means I'll have to turn the heater down to the lowest position and leave some heat on in here. Like I said, folks, if you want to send me some money to help pay for that new power supply for my computer, that'd be appreciated. You know my number, 9931 Williamson Road, Leeville, PA. Occupied zone number 16335. So whatever you can do would be appreciated. Because right now I've paid this year's taxes, but I haven't paid this year's taxes. I paid last year's taxes, I haven't paid this year's taxes. And I had to put $1,300 in my car.
Do you ever get that clunk taken care of?
Yeah, that's what the $1,300
What was it?
That vehicle has a 4-wheel drive. It has dual transaxle in the back. Each one, right and left, has its own transaxle. So,
I got you.
not transaxle. Yeah. Anyway, whatever it was, that's what it was. And cost $1,300 to put another one in.
Really?
Yeah, so. Okay, let's see.
Here's a story on Breitbart about Pennsylvania. A man in DuBois, Pennsylvania, and several local businesses recently started a Back the Blue campaign to show support for local law enforcement officers. Ultimately, I'm just so fed up with all the talk going on nationally about defunding the police, said resident Nick Simplizio, who came up with the idea to sell pro-police t-shirts and hoodies and give the money to local police departments. And I wanted a way for our local police departments here in DuBois and Sandy Township to know that we as a community stand behind them and we support them and we support what they do, he told the Courier Express. Blah, blah, blah. Well, that down Mr. T's neck of the woods, isn't he from around DuBois area?
Well, Mr. T is over by Newcastle.
Newcastle.
DuBois is over.
Oh, for some reason
It's about 50 miles.
I had DuBois on the brain.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, kids, we have 5 minutes. Is there anything you want to say? Some of the kids are signing off.
Okay, well, just get out there, check on your loved ones if they are immune compromised. You know, see if you can go to the store for them. You know, if they need some medicine, help them out. Bake them a couple loaves of beer bread. It's so stupid simple. Just Google beer bread recipes.
Yeah, I got to do that.
It's
Scotty
easy.
Scotty has made some and brought it over, and that's what I was talking to him earlier. Seeing how mead, which is a form of beer, is made with honey. I thought, well, gee, we'll take beer bread with butter on it and put some honey on it. Now, the particular flavor was the lighter color with the cheese in it, and I thought that was pretty good.
I bet you the darker one would even be better because it's a little bit sweeter.
I still have that one frozen.
There you go.
So I am known to be a connoisseur of oddball stuff, and stuff that people like, everyday stuff people like. But
yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's so simple. It's like 1 can of beer, 3 cups of flour, and a few other things. Some sugar. You don't need no yeast or nothing.
Okay, kids. I know we got a couple minutes yet, so but I'm going to sign off.
Peace out, homies.
My voice is dying on me, and I'm going to go up and make some popcorn so I can watch the Steeler game. Good night, one and all, and Merry Christmas to you.